The apple rolled across the pavement, bruised and covered in dirt. Senior Martinez was on his hands and knees, blood dripping from his mouth where the cop's fist had connected. His fruit stand lay destroyed around him. Crates shattered, oranges crushed, bananas trampled into the concrete. His two sons, 8 and 10 years old, stood frozen on the sidewalk, watching their father bleed. Watching 3 police officers laugh. "Next time you'll think twice about selling stolen merchandise," Officer Brennan said, wiping Martinez's blood off his knuckles. "I didn't steal anything," Martinez gasped. "Everything here is bought legal. I have receipts." "Yeah? Then how'd this get in your crate?" Brennan held up a gold watch. "Expensive. The kind Martinez could never afford. That's not mine. You planted that." "You calling me a liar?" Brennan kicked Martinez in the ribs. Once, twice. Martinez's sons started crying. It was Tuesday afternoon on 125th Street. 50 people watched. Nobody moved. Nobody helped. Because when the police decided you were guilty, you were guilty. But what Officer Brennan didn't know was that one of those 50 witnesses worked for Bumpy Johnson, and within 2 hours, Bumpy would know everything. This wasn't the first time this week. It was the third, and Bumpy was about to find out why. Wednesday morning, 9:00 a.m. Tommy Books Williams opened his bookstore on 135th Street like he did every morning for the past 20 years. Small shop. Wooden shelves floor to ceiling. Used books, rare books, poetry, history, philosophy. Tommy had built this place from nothing, saved every dollar, created a sanctuary where Harlem kids could come read for free. He was arranging a new shipment when the door slammed open. 4 cops, led by Detective O'Brien, known to everyone in Harlem as the most corrupt cop in the 32nd Precinct. "Thomas Williams." "That's me. Can I help you, officers?" "We got a complaint. Says you're selling obscene materials." "Obscene? This is a bookstore. Everything here is literature." "That right?" O'Brien walked to a shelf, pulled out a book at random. "This look like literature to you, Williams?" It was James Baldwin. "Giovanni's Room." "That's a novel by one of America's greatest writers." "Looks like homosexual propaganda to me." "It's not. That's not what it's about." "Turn around. Hands behind your back." "What?" "I didn't do anything wrong." Tommy tried to step back. 2 cops grabbed him, twisted his arms. Tommy struggled. He was 45 years old, strong from moving boxes of books for 2 decades. That's when Officer Riley grabbed Tommy's right arm and twisted, hard. The sound of bone breaking echoed through the small shop. Tommy screamed. They left him on the floor, arm bent at an unnatural angle, while they confiscated every book in the store. 20 years of inventory, gone in 30 minutes. Thursday afternoon, 3:00 p.m. Senior Ada Johnson, 67 years old, was working at her sewing machine when someone knocked on her apartment door. She lived alone. Had been a seamstress for 40 years. Made dresses for weddings, suits for funerals, baptism gowns for babies. Her apartment was her workshop. Fabric everywhere. Patterns. Thread. She opened the door. 5 cops. No warrant. "Ada Johnson, we got reports you're running an unlicensed business." "I have a license. Let me get my papers." They pushed past her into the apartment. "These your sewing machines?" "Yes, I'm a seamstress. That's my trade." "Not anymore." They unplugged both machines, carried them out, her scissors, her fabric, her patterns, everything she'd built over 40 years. Gone. Ada stood in her empty apartment and cried. Not because she was weak, because she was 67 years old and had just lost her only way to survive. 3 victims. 3 businesses destroyed, 3 lives shattered, all in 1 week, and all because of the same anonymous tip. Friday evening, 7:30 p.m. Bumpy Johnson sat at his usual table at Small's Paradise, Junie Bird across from him. 3 attacks in 5 days, Junie said. "All small business owners, all good people, all with detailed anonymous tips to the police. Someone's selling them out." "Yeah, but who?" "Someone who knows them personally. Someone who knows Martinez's schedule. Someone who knows which books Tommy keeps on which shelf. Someone who knows the layout of Senior Ada's apartment." Bumpy was quiet for a moment, thinking. "It's someone from the neighborhood." Junie nodded. "That's what I figured. and I got a name. He slid a photograph across the table. A man in his mid-30s, light skin, thin build, nervous smile. Robert Lawson, Bobby, born and raised on 132nd Street, lived here his whole life. Why would someone from Harlem sell out his own neighbors? Money. He's got a gambling problem, owes bookies all over the city. Detective O'Brien's been paying him $50 per tip. Bumpy looked at the photograph. Bobby Lawson, a neighbor, a Harlem kid, selling his own people for gambling money. Where is he now? Home, probably counting his blood money. Bumpy stood up. Get Martinez, Tommy, and Senora Ada. Bring them to St. Philip's Church, basement, 9 o'clock tonight, and bring Bobby Lawson. I don't care how you get him there, just get him there. What are you planning, boss? Justice, the kind the courts won't give. 9:00 p.m. The basement of St. Philip's Church was cold, concrete floors, folding chairs arranged in a circle, one light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Martinez sat in one chair, face still bruised from Tuesday. Tommy sat next to him, right arm in a cast. Senora Ada sat across from them, hands folded in her lap. Junie Bird and Willie Jackson stood by the door, and in the center of the circle, tied to a chair, sat Bobby Lawson. His face was swollen. They'd found him at a bar on Amsterdam Avenue and convinced him to come quietly. Well, mostly quietly. Bumpy Johnson descended the stairs. Bobby's eyes went wide. Mr. Johnson, please, I can explain. You'll get your chance to talk after they do. Bumpy turned to the three victims. Senior Martinez, tell him what happened Tuesday. Martinez looked at Bobby. His voice was shaking, not from fear, from rage. I was working my fruit stand, same as I do every day. Police came, said they got a tip about stolen merchandise. They found a watch in my crates, a watch I'd never seen before in my life. They beat me in front of my sons, destroyed my stand. Everything I worked for, gone. Bumpy looked at Bobby. You gave them his schedule, told them when he'd be alone, told them where to plant evidence. Bobby's head dropped. Tommy, your turn. Tommy held up his broken arm. 20 years I built that bookstore, 20 years collecting books, teaching kids to read, giving them something better than these streets. Cops came Wednesday morning, said I was selling obscene materials. They broke my arm when I tried to stop them from taking my inventory, took every book I owned, my life's work, gone. You told them which books to target, Bumpy said to Bobby. You'd been in that store 100 times. You knew exactly which shelf had Baldwin, which had Wright. You gave them a map. Bobby started crying. Senora Ada. The old woman looked at Bobby with sad eyes. Not angry, just disappointed. I'm 67 years old, Bobby. I watched you grow up. I made your confirmation suit when you were 12. I've lived in this neighborhood for 40 years. And you sold me to the police for $50. They took my sewing machines, my scissors, my fabric, everything I need to survive. You took my life away. The basement was silent except for Bobby sobbing. Bumpy walked to the center of the circle, stood in front of Bobby. You grew up here, Bobby, born on 132nd Street. Your mama worked at the bakery on Lenox. Your daddy was a porter at the Teresa Hotel. You went to PS 89. You played stickball on these streets. You are Harlem. I know, I'm sorry, I had debts. And because you couldn't control your gambling, you sold your neighbors, your community, your family. They were going to kill me. The bookies. I didn't have a choice. You had a choice. You could have come to me. I've helped 100 men with debt. I would have helped you. Instead, you went to Detective O'Brien and became his informant. You sold Martinez for $50. You sold Tommy for $50. You sold Senora Ada for $50. You sold Harlem for $150 total. Bobby couldn't look at anyone. Bumpy turned to the three victims. Here's what's going to happen. Bobby betrayed you. His actions destroyed your lives. So you get to decide his fate. 3 votes, 3 options. Forgive him, punish him, or kill him. Majority rules. Bobby's head shot up. Kill? No. Bumpy, please. You gave them no mercy. Why should they give you any? Bumpy looked at Martinez. Senior Martinez, your vote. Martinez stared at Bobby for a long time, his jaw clenched, his fists tight. My son saw me get beaten in the street like a dog. They watched cops destroy everything I've built. My oldest boy asked me last night why the police hate us. He's 8 years old, and he already knows the world sees him as less than human. Martinez's voice dropped to a whisper. My vote is kill him. Bobby started hyperventilating. No, 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 no. Tommy, your vote. Tommy held up his broken arm. This arm will never be the same. Doctor says I might not get full range of motion back. I'm a bookstore owner. I move boxes. I arrange shelves. I stock inventory. And now I can barely lift 10 pounds. He looked at Bobby with pure hatred. You destroyed 20 years of work. You stole futures from kids who needed those books. My vote is kill him. Bobby was shaking so hard the chair rattled. Please, God, please, I have family, I have... Senora Ada, Bumpy said quietly. Your vote. The basement went silent. Ada looked at Bobby for a long time. Then she looked at Martinez and Tommy. I understand why you voted to kill him. I do. What he did was unforgivable. So you vote to kill too? Martinez asked. No. Everyone looked at her. I vote to punish. Why? Tommy's voice was sharp. After what he did to you. Because if we start killing our own neighbors, even the ones who betray us, we become the thing they say we are. Animals. Savages. People who solve everything with violence. She looked at Bobby. I lost my sewing machines, but I still have my soul, and I won't stain my soul by voting for death, no matter how much he deserves it. Martinez and Tommy looked down, ashamed. Bumpy walked to the center of the circle. 2 votes to kill, 1 vote to punish. Democracy says Bobby dies. Bobby closed his eyes, started praying. But I'm not a Democrat. Bobby's eyes opened. Senora Ada is right. Not because Bobby deserves mercy, he doesn't, but because killing someone from the neighborhood brings chaos, and chaos destroys community. Bumpy crouched down in front of Bobby, eye level. You understand what you did? You didn't betray strangers. You betrayed Harlem. This place raised you, fed you, protected you, gave you everything, and you sold it for gambling money. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't rebuild Martinez's stand, doesn't heal Tommy's arm, doesn't give Senora Ada back her machines. Bumpy stood up, nodded to Willie and Claude Baptiste, who'd been standing silently in the corner. But I'm going to give you something those 3 people didn't get. A choice. What choice? You can die tonight. Quick. 1 bullet. No pain. Or you can live. With a reminder. Bobby was shaking. What kind of reminder? Willie and Claude grabbed Bobby's right leg, positioned it. Wait, what are you... Wait! The sound of bone breaking echoed through the basement. Bobby's scream lasted 5 seconds before he passed out from the pain. Bumpy looked at Martinez, Tommy, and Ada. Their faces were pale. Even Martinez, who'd voted to kill, looked sick. He'll live, Bumpy said calmly. The leg will heal, but he'll limp for the rest of his life. And every time he takes a step, he'll remember what happens when you betray your own people. Sunday morning. Bobby Lawson woke up in Harlem Hospital. His right leg was in a cast, elevated. The pain was unimaginable. Junie Bird sat in a chair next to the bed. You're awake. Where am I? Hospital. You passed out. Been here 2 days. Bobby's memory came flooding back. The basement, the vote, the breaking. He started crying again. Junie reached into his jacket, pulled out an envelope, set it on the bedside table. Bumpy sent this. Inside the envelope was $500 in cash and a bus ticket to Baltimore. One way. There was also a handwritten note. Bobby, you have 72 hours from when you leave this hospital to get out of Harlem. The money is to help you start somewhere else. The ticket is to make sure you go. You can never come back. If I see you in Harlem again, Senora Ada won't be there to vote for mercy. Understand? You sold your home for $150. Now you live without a home. BJ Bobby looked at Junie. I can never come back. Never. Your name is going to be told as a story in every bar, every church, every barber shop in Harlem. Bobby Lawson, the rat who sold his neighbors. Everyone will know what you did. Your name will be a warning for the next 50 years. But where do I go? That's not my problem. You got money. You got a ticket. Figure it out. Junie stood up to leave. Junie, tell Mr. Johnson. Tell him I'm sorry. Junie looked back. Sorry doesn't mean anything to the people you hurt. Actions mean something, and your actions got you exiled. That's lighter than you deserved. He left. Bobby sat alone in that hospital room looking at the envelope. $500 and a one-way ticket to a life where nobody knew his name. He took the bus to Baltimore on Tuesday, limped off at the station, disappeared into a city where he was nobody. 1 week later, St. Philip's Church basement, same room where the vote happened. Bumpy sat with Martinez, Tommy, and Senora Ada. He's gone, Martinez asked. Bus to Baltimore last Tuesday. He won't come back. You should have killed him, Tommy said. His arm was still in a cast. Bumpy was quiet for a moment. Can I tell you why I didn't? Please. Harlem isn't just streets and buildings. It's people. It's community. It's family. When you kill someone from the neighborhood, even a traitor, you break something that can't be fixed. He looked at each of them. You create fear. People start wondering, am I next? Did I do something wrong? Is Bumpy coming for me? And when there's fear, there's no community. Just people looking out for themselves. So you let him live to protect the community? Ada asked. I let him live because death creates cycles. Bobby has family. They might want revenge. His friends might get scared. And in the end, everyone loses. Bumpy leaned forward. Banishment sends a different message. You can live but not here. You're not Harlem anymore. That's worse than death for someone who was born here, being cut off from your home, your people, your identity. That's the worst punishment I can give. Tommy was quiet, then nodded slowly. I understand. And there's one more thing. Bumpy reached into his jacket, pulled out another envelope, set it on the table. What's this? Martinez asked. $5,000 for the three of you. He looked at Martinez. Rebuild your fruit stand, better than before. He looked at Tommy. Buy new books. Stock that store. Make it what it was. He looked at Ada. 2 new sewing machines, top of the line, and enough fabric to keep you working for a year. All three of them stared at the money. Why? Ada asked. Why do you do this, Bumpy? Why do you protect us? Bumpy stood up. Because Harlem is my home, and you don't let your home burn. When someone attacks one of us, they attack all of us. Bobby forgot that. He learned the hard way. He walked toward the stairs, stopped. And one more thing, any cop that bothers you from now on, you come to me first. Don't wait. Don't suffer in silence. You're under my protection now, all three of you. He left. Martinez, Tommy, and Ada sat in silence. Finally, Tommy spoke. He could have killed Bobby and nobody would have blamed him. But he didn't, Ada said. Because Bumpy understands something most men don't. Killing is easy, building community is hard. And he chose the hard thing. Martinez picked up the envelope. $5,000. More money than he'd seen in his entire life. My boys asked me if we were going to be okay. I didn't know what to tell them. Now you can tell them yes, Ada said, because we have each other. And we have Bumpy. And that's enough. Within 2 weeks, Martinez had a new fruit stand. Better location. Stronger structure. His sons helped him stock it every morning. Tommy's bookstore reopened with fresh inventory. Kids came back. The reading continued. Senora Ada got 2 brand new Singer sewing machines. She made dresses for the next 15 years. And everyone in Harlem knew what happened to Bobby Lawson, the rat, the traitor, the man who sold his neighbors for gambling money. His name became a lesson, a warning. Don't be like Bobby Lawson. Remember what happened to Bobby Lawson. Bobby Lawson thought he could betray Harlem. Look where it got him. Exile, permanent and complete. Bobby lived in Baltimore for the rest of his life. Never came back to New York. Never stopped limping. Died alone in 1982. Nobody from Harlem attended his funeral. Because when you betray your community, you lose more than your home. You lose your name, your history, your soul. And in Harlem, Bumpy Johnson's reputation grew stronger. not because he killed, but because he didn't. Because he understood that protecting community meant more than revenge. It meant setting boundaries. It meant showing mercy even when mercy wasn't deserved. It meant teaching the neighborhood that Harlem takes care of its own. But if you betray Harlem, you're not one of its own anymore. And life without Harlem, for someone born there, that was worse than death. If this story moved you, subscribe for more untold stories of how Bumpy Johnson protected Harlem. Drop a like if you understand that exile is sometimes worse than execution. Share this with someone who knows that community is everything. What would you have voted? Forgive, punish, or kill? Let me know in the comments below.